Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists have been detained by Israeli forces after trying to bring aid to Gaza by sea. The group set out on a boat attempting to break Israel's blockade and restrictions on humanitarian aid for Gaza. Now the coalition that organized the trip says Israeli forces, quote, kidnapped the activists. The IDF says this mission was more about publicity than getting aid into Gaza. ABC News foreign correspondent Maggie Rulli has more on that story. So, Maggie, what's each side saying happened here, and what happens to that aid now?
Hey, Diane, I think it's important to note what each side is saying. Like you said, both telling very different stories. The IDF says that they took control of this boat very early this morning on X. They call it a selfie yacht full of celebrities who, quote, attempted to stage a media provocation whose sole purpose was to gain publicity. Now, the government goes on to say that everyone on board will be taken to a nearby Israeli port. They'll make everyone watch a video of the Hamas attacks of October 7th before sending them back to their home countries. Now, the IDF is saying there was just a tiny amount of aid on that ship and that they'll be sending it to Gaza through what they say are real humanitarian channels. But activists on board the boat are calling the seizure in international waters a complete violation of international law. And in a statement, they say the ship was unlawfully boarded, its unarmed civilian crew abducted, and its life-saving cargo, including baby formula, food, and medical supplies, confiscated. Now, Diane, I don't think anyone really expected this boat to make it to Gaza. Israel has had a near complete sea blockade on the region since 2007, so almost 20 years. But organizers say it was really symbolic. They were trying to raise awareness about the threat of starvation to Gazans, something that the UN-backed food experts say could be around 500,000 Gazans at the threat of starvation. Diane?
And Maggie, according to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, aid distribution sites in Gaza have reopened again. Last week, there were shootings near the sites. They closed and reopened and closed again. So what's the latest there now?
Yeah, Dan, we've been following this with you all through last week and today. There's been a lot of confusion around the site. So let's remember the GHF is that Israel and U.S.-backed organization that right now is the only organization able to distribute aid in Gaza. As you mentioned, this confusion last week, we were following violence that had broken out near these sites. There's video of gunfire erupting. We know of dozens of Gazans that lost their lives, who were killed, hundreds more injured, many of them by Israeli soldiers. It caused the sites to close down. Now, we're aware of at least 3 that have reopened today, and the IDF says they are, or the GHF says they are trying to have new rules in place to make sure that everyone is safe. They're staggering the opening times to try to cut down on mass crowding. And they're also asking Gazans not to approach the sites until they are actually open. Diane.
All right, Maggie Rulli for us. Thank you.